Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I am going to be going back to some of my old videos and rewatching them, reacting to them, and just really clearing up some things I have said in those videos. Now, granted, when I made those videos, I definitely made them probably like a year or so ago. So in this particular video, I'm going to go back to my video titled How Black Women / People Sabotaged Their Own Promotion. And it was basically my video talking about the comments I saw of people who gave their ideas of who would they cast or who they think should be casted as, especially Tiana of the live action, if there's a live action Princess and the Frog movie. And I made this video talking about how it seems like we are sabotaging our image and our promotion because people were definitely giving all these people or recommending all these actresses that would just be completely wrong for the role. So I'm going to talk about certain points in that video. I'm going to leave those links down in the description to that video, but I'm going to be clarifying some things in this video so people who may stumble upon it may not be misconstrued with what I really meant to say. And I'm doing this because I myself have gone back to some of these videos, and I know that if I was a new person to this page and I stumble upon this video, that some people may look at it in a weird way or think I'm being negative or think I'm being generalizing or think I'm being ignorant, and that's not really the impression I'm trying to give. But I'm just definitely going off of what from what I saw in comment sections and from other people who have reviewed these movies. So I'm going to start off with 1 minute in this video, and I'm going to kind of read off of notes a bit because I wrote things down. And please tell me your thoughts in the comments if you've seen this video already. Now, some of the things I start seeing, the pessimism and the doubt and the problems that I see with the Black community, and how we basically just, again, sabotage, our own corrective promotion in the media. We basically had this level of pessimism where we're like, oh, it's no point. Oh, there were frogs for half the movie. Oh, it was this. Oh, it was that. They didn't have a black prince. And okay, so just to clarify that, to clear up this part, when I made this video, which was over a year ago, I made it at a time where I noticed a lot of pessimism in the Black community in regards to our representation in film and other media. And although I do agree with the criticism, I would see a lot of people, mainly us, criticize The Princess and the Frog for the fact that the first Black Disney princess that we got was a frog for half the movie. And again, although I see the frustration and the criticism, and I think there's validity in that, actually there's much validity and truth in it. And I do see the frustration with how Hollywood gets it wrong, or basically like non-Black media gets it wrong. And even when they try to get it right, I do feel that we try to nitpick at the flaws sometimes. So it's sometimes I feel like we kind of look for things that aren't there, and we try to make them, I don't want to sound like one of those people, but I'm just kind of observing things. I notice that we sometimes may nitpick for things that aren't there, and we're no different than any other critic who reviews movies and stuff like that. I see movie reviews on YouTube all the time. And there are people who give criticism that is valid, and who gives criticism that is just nitpicky. But in terms of us and in terms of this thing, I do think, other than the fact that she was a frog for half the movie, I think that there's so much deep nitpicking in movies like this. And this doesn't just apply to The Princess and the Frog. It applies to certain other movies, with Black characters or Black, that's centered around Black people for, whatever subject matter. When I would see the topic of The Princess and the Frog or Princess Tiana being posted on pages like IG or Twitter or TikTok, the constant thing I would hear is, oh, she was a frog for half the movie. And Disney and other animated shows and movies would also play a part in sabotaging our image by not allowing the Black characters or the indirect Black characters to fully be black. You know, I actually came across this video talking about a thing called black coding, which I might get into either later in this video or in another video. And although I would agree with that criticism, I would also have to shake my head sometimes and say it's as if some of us think that there are no other good things about the movie. So the only flaw I ever saw in that movie was, yes, she was a frog for half the movie. But I also do think that sometimes we overlook all the other good things because sometimes we may be hyper focused on the fact that it didn't feel like, how do I say, true black representation, which again, I can agree with. But I also do think that we tend to hyper focus on, oh, she was a frog for half the movie, and not on the fact that she was, not all of us, this is keyword some, but I also do think we tended to hyper focus on that flaw rather than the fact that, okay, one, we get to see a black, unambiguously beautiful, dark-skinned, brown-skinned black woman be portrayed as a princess, the love interest, the main character, and she was ambitious. She was not like, you know, the original Disney princesses, like the Snow Whites of the world, who was just like, oh, one day a prince is gonna come to save me. No, she was ambitious. She wasn't focused on the prince to come save her. And at the end of the day, she got everything and then some. She got the happily ever after. She got the prince. She got married. She got, you know, the restaurant she wanted. She got everything in the end. I also wanted to touch on the point in the video where people were saying, well, she wasn't with a black prince. To be honest, in the video I made about that, in this video, I am not necessarily concerned with whether she's with a black prince or not, though that would be nice. I was not really concerned, and I'm going to play that part in the video.
Him not being a black prince, he was most likely Indian. Naveen is an Indian name, okay? So he's most likely Indian, and I would love to see correctional promotion for black love. I'm here for it all, but I'm more so focused on young, dark-skinned, and you know, all dark-skinned black women being correctively promoted with anyone. Like Chrissy said, everyone else gets their promotion, gets validated, or, you know, gets promoted with every color of the rainbow. Why can't we?
Right. So, like I said, I'm not necessarily concerned with whether she had a black prince or not. I'm more concerned with the fact that she got her happily ever after with, like, whoever that may be. And like I said, she got the prince, and again, she never really intended on focusing on getting a prince. You know, she wasn't really looking for a man. She wasn't necessarily worried about dating, or she wasn't worried about, you know, the happily ever after. Her main goal was that restaurant only. And of course there's flaws in that too, but that's beside the point. But at the end of the day, she wasn't chasing a man. She wasn't like Snow White saying one day my prince will come. She's focused on her and her dreams and her ambitions and her goals. And at the end of the day, she got everything. She got everything. Like I said, she secured her bag and his. Okay? And I don't like that comment in Chrissy's video on, I think it was about the Little Mermaid live action, where someone wrote like, oh, Tiana got a broke prince. And I'm like, bruh, I think you're reading into this too deeply. And that is another reason why I think sometimes we kind of nitpick for things that may not be there. Someone was kind of nitpicking in Chrissy's video. They made a comment saying, oh, Tiana got a broke prince, the first black princess, and she gets a broke prince. I'm like, you're nitpicking, you're reaching for something that isn't there. First of all, in the movie, his parents cut him off, but I think they would most likely cut him back on. He got married, he became responsible, and that's the main reason he got cut off, because he was irresponsible. Okay, he was childish, he was immature. But obviously Tiana changed him, okay? But in regards to her saying that she got a broke prince, I think there's a fallacy in that, because if anyone got a broke prince, like I said in that original video, it was Jasmine. Jasmine literally married the guy who was poor and homeless and off the street. She literally married a homeless guy. And if anything, the movie wasn't necessarily about her, if you think about it. Again, beside the point. I don't believe when she said Tiana married a broke prince
that is the nitpicking thing I was talking about. It seems like we're kind of reaching for things that aren't there. And I think it's a case of sometimes when we see things that kind of upset us, and then we read deeply into things, because some things are very subtle before you can dig deep and dissect. And then maybe we tend to look for more things that may not be there, and we try to make our minds believe that they are. So again, the one flaw, if not the only flaw in this, is the fact that she was a frog for half the movie. I actually looked up old videos about the making of this movie, and I actually found out that they had to go back to the drawing board a couple of times because there were comments about racial insensitivity. And I don't know what those things necessarily were. I don't know in full detail, but I heard, so you clearly see that they were trying to make an effort to kind of get it right. Is it still tone deaf in a way? Yes. But I think they, for the most part, did it right. So I even mentioned that in this original video, that I think that they got it mostly right. So for example, they could have stereotyped Tiana. They could have said, oh my gosh, she could have been raised by a single mom or something like that. They could have really gone in and stereotyping. And granted, this is the 1920s. This is taking place in the 1920s. But they could have done a whole lot of other things with it that could have, made us angry, other than the fact that she was a frog for half of the movie. They didn't keep her single at the end of the movie because, remember, she wasn't looking for a prince, because she was so ambitious. And the thing about it could have been another case of art imitating life, where the woman who's so ambitious and independent, she could just not want a man, and she could have ended up single, like Merida and Elsa is for Brave. And then next thing you know, I would probably see a bunch of more videos saying, oh, the first black princess or the first black this, she gotta be single. You know what I'm saying? There are many other ways that I think they could have, Disney or whatever, could have pissed us off with that.
Feel and have lived through. So this is why I don't understand. It's like we always really see the bad before we see the good, because I think deep down we can't fathom good stuff happening to us. We really don't think we are deserving of things that are good. So when they actually happen, or when the potential of that happening, or when it's a slow but sure process, when we see progress, we have to nitpick and question.
Okay, yeah. This is the one that I know that if people stumbled on this page and heard that particular part, would probably definitely look at me sideways. So I'm going to clarify what I meant here. So to clarify what I said here, I mean to say was, because we are so used to Hollywood and non-black controlled media getting it wrong, or even being tone deaf to our requests for representation, especially proper representation, I must emphasize that we can't fathom them getting it right. So I'll see other movies where, the potential is good, and, the movie in itself can be executed great, but then there's always going to be that person, that black person, black people in the comments saying, this was terrible, this was this, you missed out this, you could have done that. It's, again, everyone's a critic. You can't satisfy the 100% of the population. However, I also feel like it could be 95 or 99, maybe even 100% right. And here comes some of us, especially in comment sections or making videos, trying to find everything wrong with it. And that's what I mean by sometimes we just can't fathom good. And this is not I do not want to come on here making it seem like we're just a bunch of pessimists who are never satisfied. But based on the comments and videos that I've seen, it sometimes makes me believe that. And again, things are subjective. We're people, we're all individuals, we have our own subjective or maybe even objective thoughts and opinions that we are entitled to. However, I also do think there is no point in nitpicking something being done right. So there are times where we ask for certain things like good representation, proper representation, and then even when, let's say for instance, it's 95 to 100% right, some of us still find a way to make it seem like it's all wrong. And that's what I mean by we just can't fathom like good things happening to us. It's kind of the same thing I said with my, black people say we don't like Black pain and struggle movies, but we still watch. And in there, what I'm trying to say is, even when, you know, it's done right, or it's not done over the top, or it's, you know, something we claim that we requested or we want, we'll still find something negative to say about it. So again, Queen and Slim versus The Photograph. You know, Queen and Slim showcase a lot of trauma and traumatic experiences, although, you know, relatable. That they showcased a lot of, you know, trauma, you know, issues of police brutality. They showcase, you know, the struggle between Black men and women, you know, and the really struggle-like or traumatic, you know, drama-filled relationship between Black men and Black women, and the Black community with the cops, you know, all that stuff. And I'm saying, at that time that it came out, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of relatable in a sense, but I'm saying, yeah, I'm kind of done with seeing stuff like that. But The Photograph, a Black love movie that came out during Black History Month on Valentine's Day, I don't see that getting the same, you know, hyped up praise, especially by Black people online. I don't see them making an abundance of reviews about it. Now, I know there's some Black people who did. I don't see that to the same length or to the same amount as people who reviewed or touched on Queen and Slim. And for what I heard, Black people kind of praised that movie, Queen and Slim, but it seemed like there were more crickets towards The Photograph. So we claim we don't want all these Black pain, Black drama, Black struggle movies, Black, you know, the ones that paint Black people in kind of a negative or extremely traumatic or drama-filled struggle light. And I think we've had enough of that. Okay, I think we had a good run on that. Let's balance it out with more mellow stuff. Let's balance it out with more, you know, good stuff. Let's balance it out with more chill, you know, rom-com stuff. It doesn't have to be extreme. But we'll claim we want that. And then when it comes out, we're again nitpicking, finding something wrong with it. It's boring, it's trash, it's not good, it's not this, it's not that. But I'm telling you, I said, I'm not sure if I said it in the video, but I'll say it now. I think if you took the cast of The Photograph and replaced it with a white cast or a non-Black cast, you know, or a white passing cast, if you will, in some cases, I think we'll be a little bit more receptive to it. Maybe not us, but I would think that movie would probably be considered like a cult classic. Definitely something you would watch on Netflix in quarantine. Did it have its flaws in certain ways? Yes, it did, like everything does. But it's like sometimes it doesn't have to be over the top, you know, extreme. It doesn't have to be drama and trauma filled completely to be a good film. And I think sometimes this is what I mean. Sometimes we're so used to the extreme stuff, or we're just so used to Hollywood getting it wrong that sometimes we just can't fathom them getting it right. And that's not necessarily our fault completely. Hollywood, you have to fix your stuff. And slowly but surely it's changing. Thank God, especially with independent filmmakers. I like that. But in other cases, I do think we definitely are, quote unquote, addicted to the drama. And the trauma and the struggle. I mean, come on. We like Baby Boy. We loved Empire. To be honest, I think the real reason I saw people saying, oh, Empire fell off after season 1 and 2 is because they stopped being stereotypical. I think the characters stopped focused on being stereotypical. I mean, it was the first season was loaded with Black stereotypes. But we loved that. But we always say we don't like our image we don't like the negative stereotypes being portrayed in media like that. But we loved Empire for the first season. What are you talking about? So I also have to call us out a little bit here, if any of you catch my drift. Sorry that explanation was so lengthy. So in this original video, the reason I say we kind of sabotage or we play a part in sabotaging our own image is because I'm saying, when I looked at those comments that I saw on Instagram and, you know, places on TikTok and everything like that, when I saw those, I noticed that there were a lot of people saying for Tiana, she should be played by Anika Noni Rose. And I'm saying, or some people even mentioned Jennifer Hudson, but I'm saying, yeah, I know that Anika Noni Rose voiced Tiana, and Tiana is literally the animated version of Anika Noni Rose, because I think she said it was created in her image. the guy who originally drew Tiana. I understand that, but if you were to think a live action movie, and I think by the time this live action comes out, and side note about the live actions, I've been seeing lately, especially people of my generation, saying stop with these live actions and come up with original content and ideas, which I can agree with. But what I like about the live actions is I do think that it gives an opportunity for Disney to right some wrongs that they did. So there are certain things that Aladdin did in 92 that the live action kind of wouldn't get away with in 2019. You hear me? You feel me on that? So I think that the Aladdin live action was a carbon copy of the original? Absolutely not. It wasn't going to be, but Will Smith did a good job and I did enjoy it. People kind of said that they didn't like the live action Lion King. I liked it, okay? And maybe because I'm watching it for a movie and not watching it necessarily to nitpick at everything. But granted, there were some things that I criticized that on, but that's a whole nother video. But in regards to The Princess and the Frog, I looked at these comment sections for The Princess and the Frog. I've noticed that people were saying, oh, it should be Anika Noni Rose that plays Tiana. And again, she voiced her, but if you think about the time that this movie were to come out, if it comes out, Anika Noni Rose, from what I found out, I think she's like 48, maybe 49 now. So she'll be probably 50, maybe even closer to 60. And again, I know black don't crack. We know black don't crack, but come on now. Do you really think it makes logical sense for the 60-year-old to pass, unless she could, but I don't think she could, honestly. I know black don't crack and she's gonna look great for her age, but do you really think it makes sense for a live action for her to play the 19-year-old girl? And we're always pushing for representation of especially younger looking black actresses. Like, hell, give Coco Jones a chance, because if you don't know, Coco Jones came out with a video about what really happened after Let It Shine and how, I don't think she was blackballed, but she just like couldn't get any more roles after that. She said she was even promised her own TV show and spinoff. She even talked about like the colorism in the industry. So this is why I don't like us. I even got into quite a bit of a debate with somebody that I went to school with on Facebook about this and about how Anika Noni Rose just is not right to play the part. And she wants to go back and forth with me and like how there needs to be more younger representation. And then the gaslighting argument of, oh, they get older people to play like teenagers all the time. Yeah, but those people are usually like somewhere in their 20s. And unless they can really pass, because some people in their 30s can like really, really pass. But it's not somebody in their 60s or their 50s passing to play somebody who's 19 or 16. You know what I'm saying? So why is this push for Anika Noni Rose to do it when now next thing you know, you're complaining about, where's Ryan Destiny? We need to see more of her. Where's Normani? We need to see more of her. Where is Coco Jones and all these other people who are there, but then you're saying you don't have enough. There's not enough black, especially dark-skinned, young black girl representation to play stuff like this. But I'm like, it was there, but then you chose the 40-plus-year-old woman to play that part. So this is what I mean by sometimes we kind of drop the ball on our own representation, though we claim we want it. And I think sometimes that's more of an unconscious decision and an unconscious thing than a conscious thing. So I'm not necessarily blaming us as a whole entirely. I remember watching the movie Sella and the Spades. It came out on Amazon Prime Video. You can watch it. Again, I heard it's going to be a show. So it was a movie that's going to be a series, which is cool. And I can't wait for it to go. I can't wait for it to happen. I'm just waiting once this whole thing blows over. But one thing I noticed when I saw Amanda BB and certain other people, I think, oh God, it was called Pay or Rent. I forgot the name of the page, but it's on YouTube. And she reviews movies. She's a black woman who reviews movies. And they both reviewed Sella and the Spades. And they said that, you know, it was very refreshing after a long time to finally see a young brown-skinned / dark-skinned girl as the lead in a movie or a show of a coming of age, you know, in high school. And she's not the sidekick or the best friend or, you know, all that stuff. And I'm saying, good, we want this. This is good representation. But then again, when it comes to stuff like this, here's how we're going to sabotage it. Maybe unknowns to us. Here we're kind of going to sabotage it by saying, oh, get this 40, 50 plus year old actress to play the 19-year-old. And then we're talking about there's no representation, or we don't see enough representation of younger, specifically darker actresses, dark-skinned actresses. Because some of the people who were recommending who should play Tiana, whether it be on IG or Twitter or TikTok, I just saw some of the most ridiculous opinions. And granted, it's their opinion, they're entitled to it. But this is how you know that one of the reasons that they're picking these people is because they don't see representation of younger, brown and darker skinned women. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm trying to make my videos as less than 20 plus minutes as possible, guys. Please bear with me on this. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you watched the end, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Oh, also, side note, don't forget to check out the links down below. Don't forget to stream Good Loving on all streaming platforms. And yes, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, bye.